June 28, 2004, Iraq War, sovereign power is handed to the interim government of Iraq by the Coalition Provisional Authority, ending the U.S.-led rule of that nation. June 28, 1987, for the first time in military history, a civilian population is targeted for chemical attack when Iraqi warplanes bombed the Iranian town of Sardasht. June 28, 1982, Aeroflot Flight 8641 crashes in Mazir, Belarus, killing 132 people. June 28, 1950, Korean War, North Korean Army conducts the Seoul National University Hospital massacre. It was a massacre of 700 to 900 doctors, nurses, inpatient civilians and wounded soldiers by the Korean People's Army, KPA, on June 20, 1950 at the Seoul National University Hospital, Seoul District of South Korea. During the First Battle of Seoul, the KPA wiped out one platoon which guarded Seoul National University Hospital on June 28, 1950. They massacred medical personnel, inpatients and wounded soldiers. The Korean People's Army shot or buried the people alive. The civilian victims alone numbered 900. According to South Korean Ministry of National Defense, the victims included 100 wounded South Korean soldiers. June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles is signed, ending the state of war between Germany and the Allies of World War I. It was the most important of the peace treaties of World War I. It ended the state of war between Germany and the Allied powers. It was signed on June 28, 1919 in the Palace of Versailles, exactly 5 years after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which led to the war. The other Central Powers on the German side signed separate treaties. Although the armistice of November 11, 1918 ended the actual fighting, it took 6 months of Allied negotiations at the Paris Peace Conference to conclude the peace treaty. The treaty was registered by the Secretariat of the League of Nations on October 21, 1919. The treaty created much resentment in Germany, which was exploited by Adolf Hitler in his rise to power at the helm of Nazi Germany. Central to this was belief in the stab-in-the-back myth, which held that the German army had not lost the war and had been betrayed by the Weimar Republic, who negotiated an unnecessary surrender. The Great Depression exacerbated the issue and led to a collapse of the German economy. Though the treaty may not have caused the crash, it was a convenient scapegoat. Germans viewed the treaty as a humiliation and eagerly listened to Hitler's oratory, which blamed the treaty for Germany's ills. Hitler promised to reverse the depredations of the Allied powers and recover Germany's lost territory and pride, which has led to the treaty being cited as a cause of World War II. June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife Sophie are assassinated in Sarajevo. This is the casus belli of World War I. On June 28, 1914, Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated in Sarajevo by the 19-year-old Gavrilo Princip, a member of Young Bosnia. Franz Ferdinand's assassination led to the July crisis and precipitated Austria-Hungary's declaration of war against Serbia, which in turn triggered a series of events that eventually led to Austria-Hungary's allies and Serbia's allies declaring war on each other, starting World War I. June 28, 1911, the Nakhla meteorite, the first one to suggest signs of aqueous processes on Mars, falls to Earth, landing in Egypt. If you enjoyed the video, then please subscribe the channel. It's a click for you, but a world for me. Thank you and have a nice day.